Welcome to Truth Be Told About Going Wild. I'm your host, Robert Hensley, and this is the podcast inspired by the principles of personal rewilding. One of the buzzwords we hear kind of floating around, especially in the community of ecopsychology, which is that offshoot of psychology that studies the lack of connection with nature for humans, but also in kind of mainstream psychology it's coming in, is a word called biomimicry, right? If we break that down, bio meaning life, mimicry meaning to copy, to emulate. Um, and so we know that in a broader sense of this word, in industry, in business, that we see kind of systems and things being put into place that are inspired by the world around us, by nature, and taking those things that we see in nature that work as symbiosis, and trying to find ways of adapting those to make for a better or more organic system within that organization. However, biomimicry can be taken on a personal level, which really involves kind of applying the principles of nature to try to enhance our own lives, our relationships, to build leadership. It's really about learning from the strategies of living things to find more sustainable and effective solutions for our own personal challenges, to improve our well-being, to cultivate deeper connections with ourselves and with nature, with the world around us. And there are a couple of ways in which biomimicry can be applied personally. Understanding and emulating nature's strategy comes about by observing how different organisms in nature adapt and thrive, and we can take those lessons to learn more about resilience, interdependence, and overall sustainable living. If we look at kind of life principles, right? Biomimicry emphasizes that life has evolved these strategies that are incredibly effective over billions of years, and that we can apply these same strategies to our lives. When we think about cultivating intimacy and connection, biomimicry really is there to encourage a deeper understanding of how everything is connected, that interconnectedness, and the importance of these relationships and fostering a sense of belonging and shared responsibility, right? Um, we can think about biomimicry in ways of how it improves well-being and resilience. Again, by adopting these nature-inspired strategies to really think about how we can use those same strategies to face challenges and to build a deeper connection with the natural world. And of course, sustainability is a huge part of biomimicry. It really can provide a framework for living a more sustainable life, embracing these principles like waste reduction, resource optimization, and really just living in harmony, stewardship. These things are all kind of tied to that word of biomimicry. And so we think about, what exactly is it that we're mimicking? Well, we can draw inspiration from how animals have adapted to survive and continue to adapt to new environments, to changes in the environment, and how they overcome challenges. We can really start to look at those strategies and apply those to our own lives. When we look at emulating the collaborative nature of ecosystems, right? Most of our ecosystems, right, our environment, are incredibly interconnected, right? Almost, if not symbiotic, and really looking at how that works as far as cooperation and collaboration, and how we can step into a very similar role in our own environments, right, is very important. And also, kind of, if we take that one step further, right? If we're not just, excuse me, mimicking natural behavior, right, from the wild, the thing that we most see is that adaptation, right, that evolutionary process of creating strategies for success is continuous, right? It never stops in the natural world. And so if we adopt that same mindset of continuously learning and adapting, and we can embrace a growth mindset and continuously learn from new experiences and put that into play, then that could eventually lead to a much more successful and fulfilling life. Um, and I'm not talking about in terms of material things, although I'm sure that those will come along as well. Um, but really just successful in as far as being able to um, adapt and change and go with the flow, and kind of that flow dynamic, and making the most of the time that we have on this planet. So just to reiterate that biomimicry, right, on a personal level, in a personal context, um, basically can help us create a more meaningful, sustainable, and fulfilling life. Um, and it allows us to contribute to a healthier and more harmonious relationship with the natural world. Um, and I think that that's something that um, I know for myself that I definitely need to step into a little bit more. Um, you're always learning, you're always adapting, you're always changing, you're always finding new things, and trying to adapt those strategies to see how they fit into your life, into what you're doing. Um, and if you're not in that mindset, it's really not hard to get there. Um, but yeah, I thought that this was a great word to introduce you to today in case you hadn't heard it yet. Um, so thank you so much for listening. Remember, there are 3 opportunities each week for new content from Truth Be Told family of podcasts here on the Club Paranormal channel on YouTube. Tony Sweet on Fridays with the original Truth Be Told, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. Bonnie Burkert on Wednesdays with Truth Be Told Transformation, and that's the more metaphysical stuff. Um, and that is on Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. And of course, Truth Be Told About Going Wild every Monday, same time, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. And if you'd like to know more about personal rewilding, learn more about biomimicry, have questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me via the website, www.rhnaturereconnect.com. Again, that's rhnaturereconnect, altogether.com. And until next time.